Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I want to discuss the official trailer that came out for Ms. Marvel. If you haven't seen it already, I'll include a link to it in the description down below. But I really like the feel and aesthetic they went for in this trailer, especially like the little thought bubbles things, because obviously it's like her drawing stuff like, what was it, Ant-Man and Man-Ant, which was so weird, but just like, yeah, like it seems like this really interesting coming of age story. I should also say, like, structurally, like how the trailer felt, didn't feel like a TV show trailer, and I think Marvel's been really good about that, like making their TV shows feel like actual movies. But especially this trailer, it didn't feel like a TV show trailer. It felt like a movie trailer, at least to me. But I really love the whole aspect of, yeah, this is being a very coming-of-age story, considering we don't get too many of those in the MCU. Like, the only other one we've gotten is Spider-Man. So you got a little bit of that vibe. But I love that, like, yeah, she's obsessed with superheroes. And I love that it's almost like, oh, you're wearing another Avengers shirt. It's like, yeah, Avengers exist and stuff, but I like that. I think it's probably going to play into, like, I mean, yeah, the Avengers are fine and everything. They're cool. Yeah, they're superheroes. But, like, oh, that's so, like, 2 years ago. They're fine and everything, because this is also post, maybe it's like a couple years after the blip and everything. It's like, I mean, yeah, they've saved the universe from, like, you know, when half the population got wiped out, but like, yeah, that's so blasé, that's so like, ugh, who cares about heroes? It almost has that feel to it, like maybe because like heroes are such a mainstream everyday thing that it's just kind of like, yeah, they lost their luster, and then maybe even in the younger generation kind of feels like they're not cool, so she is a bit of a weirdo for loving them as much as she does. Because I've always known, like, once again, Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel isn't a character I know that well, but I know, like, obviously her name is a byproduct of her being a huge Captain Marvel stan, but, you know, but it is also a thing of, like, yeah, she's just in love with superheroes in general. So, but I think that plays into, like, her outsider story, because it is definitely got that feel to it of, because she even says it herself, like, right, brown girls like me typically aren't the heroes, and I think that's an important thing to kind of get across, because I know for a lot of people, her background is one of the important core aspects of her character, because it makes her feel like an alien in so many different regards. So it's like, at home she feels like an alien, at school she feels like an alien, that she can't really quite fit it, finding your place in this world, because it's a combination of being who she wishes she could be, who she fantasizes about being, who she is, versus what her parents want her to be. Because, like, at one point, like, I think her mom catches her with her costume and she's like, that's not who you are. And it's like struggling to find out your own identity when everyone else has their image of who you are. And I think that's a beautiful element to the story. But like I said, I hope they do keep, like, that comic booky, like, bubbles and, like, certain things being drawn. Just, like, it looks so, I don't know, wacky be the right word, but I just love how trippy some of the sequences in it look. And it looks like kind of an upbeat, like, not upbeat, but I guess upbeat coming of age story. It seems fun, but it also seems very, like, a very nice, I don't know, like, story of self-discovery. And I mean, what is a superhero story if not a story about someone feeling like the other, or someone, you know, self-discovery? But it feels so, I don't know, it like filled me with something. I was like, wow, this, I don't know, it's something I can't put a word to describe, and it looks so dope. Trying, you know, her doing the whole superhero thing. I am curious, because, you know, stuff had already come out before now, and I can't gauge how the audience in general felt about it when it was just out there. Now it's got a trailer showcasing it, but her powers aren't a byproduct of her being an Inhuman. It is a byproduct of, I was under the impression it was going to be tech. It seems like it's more magic related, but maybe it is like tech, or maybe it's magical tech. But yeah, she's not an Inhuman, because they haven't really set up the Inhumans in this universe. Because that was always my question, like, are they going to make her the first Inhuman? But it's like, no. Like, once again, it also comes down to, like, oh, how do they introduce X-Men? Because they haven't even introduced mutants in this world. Are they going to, you know, because you already have something like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. already set up the X-Men. Obviously, the Inhumans thing didn't work out, specifically when it came to the show Inhumans, that whole angle to it. But I don't know. Because the comparison I've made in the past is Spider-Man. Spider-Man he falls in the category of a mutant, but because he can be who he is without it, they haven't really dabbled into it. I always said, like, if they introduced the X-Men, then you could add in the element of, oh, actually, Peter, you're a mutant. You just never knew the word to describe what you are, but you are. So maybe eventually, like, because my question is, like, will Ms. Marvel be just tech-based the entire way? Like, that's just the aesthetic they're going for. Because obviously they changed stuff from comic books to to the adaptations, they change stuff anyway. But this will be such a massive change because, like, at least Spider-Man, even without the mutant element that could always be added later on, I don't know about the Inhuman element. That's always been a conversation I've had recently about it. But I'm curious to see how they handle that. Because being an Inhuman also adds an element to her story of being an other. Like, as long as you have those other core aspects, I think it can work. But I think even being an Inhuman, like, it adds more to that, kind of that otherness that she kind of feels, and that adds even more weight to her story. Obviously, you can still make it work without the whole angle of her being an Inhuman, because it's still a thing of, well, you're a teenager, plus you're trying to be a hero, plus a combination of just, like, being from a different culture and trying to, maybe trying so hard to fit in while also feeling like an outsider in so many regards, or just, coming to terms with every aspect of yourself. Obviously, that's all part of the journey. Now, like I said, whether or not they can still all work without the Inhuman element, but I'm saying the Inhuman element just adds a little bit more to it. Whether they end up dealing with that Inhuman angle later on or not, we'll ultimately have to wait and see. But obviously, I didn't talk about it all, but after this will be the Marvels. That might be the next time we see Kamala. So the question is, like, potentially what setup will there be? Will she meet up with Carol or Monica over the course of the show, or will their introduction to each other mainly be in the Marvels, the movie? So, because the question is too, like, is there, like, how much of this, because it seems like Miss Marvel's going to be like a smaller show that it's just her story. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy universal, which is interesting considering, like, obviously Carol's story is on that cosmic level. So I mean, to be fair, Monica's story has kind of been on a smaller scale too, with her story through WandaVision, so makes you wonder if there's going to be any correlation there. Potentially, people have said that person that's in that that you see Wanda fighting for a little bit, that could be like a Monica from a different universe where she is Captain Marvel, because she eventually does become Captain Marvel in the comics. So if there's any correlation there in any shape or form, maybe not, especially if that's from a different universe entirely. That's a whole conversation within itself. But the story does seem like it's just going to be smaller scale, so it might not kind of delve in those realms, or it could, at the very least, it could end, like, the season ends with, and holy crap, like, the cosmos found its way to you because, like, Carol meets you, or Monica does, or they come to recruit her. Who knows how everything's going to play out. Obviously, that's the whole conversation too of, like, right, people don't want, like, the larger MCU, because it's like, yeah, it's always a conversation of, like, oh, how does this connect to the MCU? To me, that's secondary. I'm here first and foremost for this new character that like I said, I know very little about. I want to, be able to get deep dive into her story. That comes first and foremost. All the other MCU connections and stuff like that, her connection to Monica or Carol, that comes secondary. That's just kind of, that's extra, icing on it, so. But obviously, these are just my thoughts. I love to get to know yours in the comments down below. What did you think? What do you expect from the show? What do you want from the show? Just let me know your thoughts in general. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.